Current Connect is basically a LinkedIn Live series where the members of the TA team at Arthan come together and take chances every month and share their understanding of how the recruitment in the social sector landscape works to help the joining audiences gain an insight about the job market and also making themselves equipped uh, and better at bagging jobs in the impact sector. My name is Harleen, and as for my introduction, I've been working at Arthan for now over 2 years. Um, I am a part of one of the three verticals that contributes to TA within Arthan. And yeah, the journey is enjoyable. And apart from this, I have good 8 years of experience before this doing executive search and headhunting. So I made a career out of this. Okay, so now, as for the topic, I think we briefly spoke about it, but let me touch upon it again. Uh, we felt that there are a lot of touch points, a lot of tangents when it comes to making the switch from consulting to the impact sector. Now, whether we are talking about impact organizations, as in the NGOs or your typical social sector organizations, or we are talking about social enterprises, which might not exactly be non-profit, but are dedicated towards a core cause that they work for. And the third would be the impact sector consulting, right? So the functionality is somewhat similar in nature to how consulting works, but yes, because they're dedicated to the impact themes, there is an understanding and there is a certain depth required as for the landscape of those topics, where we feel that there needs to be more impact or more inclination. Talking about some of the skills that are transferable, I will say the salient features would be that all impact areas, all thematic areas in impact have relevant tangents in consulting. So consulting, we feel, is a bit of everything, a jack of all trades sort of a role, where yes, you focus on some projects at one point in time, which are might be related to one particular area, but then you gain some skill sets while working on those projects, which you can manifest to your work next, or even when you're thinking of transitioning to the impact sector, right? So I think there is no, if you think that there's a particular area only in impact where your skills will align, that's not the case. You can move forward and, wherever you feel that you have an interest or a calling, or you see similar people doing the work that you do and doing it well in impact now, I think those manifestations are very, very real. Second is consulting allows you exposure to different areas. Like I said, it's a jack of all trades kind of a role where it opens the possibility for people coming in from consulting to apply anywhere and choose which segment to align with. So if uh, now let's give a little bit importance to the thematic area symbiosis, the why and the what. So I think before you step into or think of a transition, you should also think about, uh, why do you want to cater to a specific area? So some people just step into the transition thinking that life at impact would be easier, life working with an NGO or working in this space would be easier, but that's not the case. Uh, so one is clarity is of prime importance. I mean, that's important when you go to apply for any new job. So I think the case is no different for applying for any impact organization. You should be mindful whether that's a calling from the heart, or that's something where you've seen your skills come in handy. You've seen other people taking similar journeys and it working out for them. I think you should see it for yourself. You should kind of do some research and due diligence on your own also. Why is it that you want to align to a particular area? If you feel that you want to get into M&E after doing consulting, what is it that is similar? What is it that is different? And what is it that you have to build? Right? So one is the thought process, and the second is the evidence-backed action. What do you need to build, and then work towards it, right? So we'll also talk about compensation ranges. I think there was a question. It will be clear once we showcase the roles and we send you the links also. But yeah, I mean, the range varies, right? From, let's say, a compensation of 10 lakhs to a compensation of 30 to 40 lakhs, right? Uh, there's also common misconception, and I would love to bust those myths to also today, that the impact sector does not pay very well as opposed to consulting. So that's not the case. I mean, the compensation is aligned to the skills that are required in a particular job. I would say that, but it's not like the sector only pays low key and does not have a very let's say competitive package, so to speak. So it's not the case at all. So some people find that they would be paid more or even in apropos to how consulting pays for particular roles. But yes, when having said that, I mean, it commands more attention to what is needed in a role, the intentionality behind a role, the ideation and the thought process behind why a certain role is needed and created in an organization. I think when an organization gives so much thought and puts so much thought into how they've structured and built that role and created that the need of the role in within the organization, we also expect the candidates to come with that intentionality. We also expect to come with that vision and value proposition in their minds as to why they think they would be suitable. What is it that this role would be adding to their skill set and to their journeys? And also, what are the skill set they are bringing on board, right? It's a two-way street. Now, talking about some of the current skills that are needed in impact, uh, I would say one is agnosticity works in your favor, right? People, folks from consulting who are joining, you can make your own choice. But yes, put some due diligence into it as to why. Have some action points ready as to where you want to go, which organizations you want to align with, and why, right? So, one is you choose a particular organization, you like their work, or you saw somebody taking that journey that you find really interesting. But what is in it for you, right? What is it that you align with, and why do you want to take that leap of faith, right? So, I think these are some of the factors which come in handy while you're thinking about a transition. As for skills, I'd like to double tap on that a little bit. We spoke about some of the common bucket of skills that are needed. So I think problem solving today is key in any job, not just in impact sector. But here we are dealing with problem statements every day, and these statements may also change. Um, from one day to the other. So that agility and adaptability really come in handy. If you're used to working in a fast-paced environment, which really is the case, uh, in consulting also, that you need to make those quick shifts and change gears very quickly. I think that is something which can really be used and which really comes in handy while you're enterprising or wanting to work in impact. The second is project management skills. Again, very important. You have to don a lot of hats. Organizations are usually working on a budget. So roles are clubbed together or combined to include a lot of skill sets that we may have a lot of people in other organizations or even in consulting or even in corporate doing. Right here, we need people who will kind of be able to switch quickly between job roles, not job roles exactly, but skills, yes, between projects. Might require a lot of collaboration between inter teams. So that gives you an insight into the work of the other teams as well. And when the need comes, also, doing a little bit of due diligence and picking up after our fellows and our teammates to be able to not have the work stop, right? So that little bit of essence and that little bit of knowledge that you gain through collaboration and also while working in consulting in project management really comes in handy. I think next that I'd like to talk about is stakeholder management, which is prime, I feel, in impact roles. In consulting at lower levels or entry levels, you may or may not have exposure of interacting or thought partnering with a lot of people from leadership or a lot of, CXOs, founders, co-founders. But here in Impact, I feel through these events that happen in the industry landscape and also through these interactions that you have within organizations, very small community, very small community, community, not without a reason, right? So you meet people, you meet a lot of high level stakeholders. So that finesse and that ability to be able to present and leave your imprint on somebody is really important. How you conduct yourself in those conversations, what you gain out of it, what is your objective of entering in that meeting, really, really important. So if you haven't had that exposure in consulting yet, I feel that Impact would be a good platform for getting that exposure, because this is a really live wire for that kind of work, right? Uh, the next skill set I feel, which again is very important, is having a strategic vision. Uh, you might want to do a lot of things, but how you end up going about it is really, critical here. uh, I may have a lot of ideas, but if I do not know what is the implementation or what are going to be the action points behind it, I think my ideation would, after a point, turn futile. So the need and the want of wanting to do one thing from the other, and the why behind it and the how behind it, I feel is equally important, right? So why do you want to make that transition? What is it that you're bringing onto the table? And what is it that you can contribute? And your expectations also, not just in compensation, but also what you expect from the role, what you expect from the organizations. I think in Impact, people appreciate that a lot. The stakeholders appreciate that a lot. If you come with that clarity, if you come with that definition in terms of what you want, and there's less of ambiguity. We are used to, a lot of ambiguity when it comes to consulting, where things may not be very clear, because yes, we are answerable, we are also accountable at a lot of places, but we may not have all the answers at all times. But in Impact, I think there is a lot of merit and specificity uh, behind what you do and how you do it, and I think that is equally rewarded and appreciated. Now I think I'll just briefly touch upon analytics and data analytics and how that is important in the decision making. So when a brief example I'll share with you, an anecdote of how I witnessed it in the recent times. We were working with an organization. Usually the processes that we are shared at JD, and we start talking to the stakeholders, gather some important insights, and start working on a role. Um, so they had shared two documents. One is their ideation behind and the thought process behind what this person would be doing, what is the need for this role, what do we need in the person who will be doing this role, what is the personality, the key attributes, the skill sets, and what is the end objective, right? So a whole, let's say, a 1 year plan or a 2 year plan for this person's journey, and we haven't even found the person yet. The second document was the JD, where they had merited a few skills that were required, that were pertinent for the role. So there, there you see, you don't find a lot of that. You find a lot of transactionality in the sector, outside the sector otherwise. So this was a welcome change, and this is the kind of uh, reason, the kind of depth they bring. So the expectations are much higher in terms of what the candidate is going to do, what the organization is going to do with the candidate, and what the symbiosis is going to look like, right? So I think it's really important. If you're stepping into this, you put in a lot of thought, you put in a lot of action thinking to your thought process, and then take the leap of faith. Okay, so as far as thematic areas are concerned, let me just educate you a little bit on that. Uh, we have, a plethora of thematic areas that we deal with in the impact sector. There's livelihoods, there is education. Kavya spoke about it in the last session also. We have health, a prime cause after COVID. Um, and a lot of other related areas. You think of it in impact, and we are there. And then there is climate resilience, climate and sustainability, apart from the SDGs, right? So I think that one, you may or may not want to choose your theme area at this point, but definitely choose the skill sets and match it with the skill sets that you possess and that you want to gain moving forward, and then consciously apply to the job roles, right? We also feel that the talent pool has a tendency that is not headhunted has a tendency of applying to every job thinking that they will get it. While you may fit in a lot of square pegs, but I would say find your own square peg to fit into, right? And see conscientiously where is the place and where do you fit in. What are the organizational values? What are your personal values that you bring in? And then apply for these roles. So a few trends for someone that wants to break into the sector and some transferability of attributes. One definitely, I think I've spoken about it at length, is theme inclination. You have livelihood, health, education, climate. If that's the starting point you want to take, you've been in consulting and hearing about work happening in these spaces, and that is what inclines you to it. That's great. But also, it's important to see where you fit in. Is it carbon financing? Is it inclusive finance? Is it talking about more on the program side or the policy making side, where you feel that you have that intersectionality? You've dealt with a lot of government stakeholders and speak to a lot of key people who are in your network. If that is something that you want to transition to, working an impact and working towards a cause and creating a footprint of your own, great, right? Second is passion for impact. I spoke about it. A lot of us want to do something, right? There's this urge to give back to society or world at large, but that passion can be both directed and misdirected, right? So misdirected passion is, I have worked with a lot of NGOs, I volunteer at a lot of places. That's great, that's good, right? But when you talk about working in the sector for a specific cause, it looks very different. It's work, right? Your interest just doesn't cover it. I think you have to match it to skills, you have to match it to intention, you have to match it to value alignment and objective. What is it? What is the end product you're driving at? What are the solutions you're finding to problem statements? How are you going about applying those solutions? How is it going to benefit your stakeholders? You have to think about all of those things, and then suddenly, you know, the misdirection changes to direction. It has needs to have a focus, it needs to have a purpose behind it. Directed is where you have answers to most of these questions, or you are having questions of your own. That's even better. Good problems to have and good statements to solve, as we often speak about, right? Then the third is again related to this, but emotion backed with action. All right. Only emotion is not going to solve any problem, be it political, be it geographical, be it any other challenge. So the ideation of action and then the breaking down of action points into how we are going to achieve a certain goal set, right? That is something that we need to think about, that we need to deliberate on, and then we need to act upon it. So even in this case, when you're thinking of transitioning or when you're thinking of moving into the sector from a different sector, I think this is something which is very important. Fourth, but not the least, would be the very strong educational background and pedigree is what organizations actively look for, whether from consulting background or whether from any other sources. Um, I think that's also one of the prerequisites when impact sector organizations hire. They look for that education brand. They look for what you have done, even if it's a prominent course from, let's say, a not such a good college, not a tier one college. Uh, but yes, the journey which you've taken and the conscious choices which you've made after that education journey also hold importance. I won't just say that all the organizations in impact do that, but yes, it's an important feature. It's an added plus to to your resume, to your journey, because that's considered a starting point where you actually took a decision that you want to align yourself with a certain area or a certain knowledge area, right? Second is your journey. Talking about your journey, we believe that those are conscious choices that you yourself make to align yourself with certain organizations or certain positions or jobs. And as we move up the ladder, once we are through the entry level and we move up the ladder, we become more conscious in those choices and we become clearer in what we want from a certain job or a certain organization, or why we are aligned to, or why we are kind of inclined towards a certain area. So I would say that those things, when you are making these decisions, organizations usually ask for a cover letter also. So it's, just sending your resume uh, without that intentionality, without the value proposition of you having gone through the website, having read about, the organization that you're prospecting to work with. We feel that that alignment needs to really come. I mean, that transactionality needs to go, and the intention needs to be very, very visible in terms of what you bring to the table. What are the tangibles that you have at hand, and how do you plan to use them to your advantage? Now, transferability of skills and attributes, let's touch upon a little bit. uh, I think we spoke about thematic area expertise. If you're coming from consulting, you may or may not have that, but people who have worked on projects, since you might be open to, or you might have had exposure to different areas. uh, you might have even come across a certain project where there was a theme inclination to impact. You might have really liked working on it, and it may give you insight into a little bit of insight into what happens, a little bit on the landscape, on how the makeup of the sector or that particular theme looks. So that may come in handy nonetheless. Now, ability to have a zoomed out view. I feel this is a really important transferable skill set when it comes to consulting, especially when you're trying to switch over to impact. So there are roles and there are functions where a zoomed in, specific view is really appreciated and is really considered great. But when you're applying for strategy roles, when you're applying for project management or a business management kind of role, where that zoomed out view and little knowledge about everything of how you will bring it all together, onto the board, or for your stakeholders, or how you will problem solve with all of those put together. I think that is really, really important, and consulting is really helpful in helping us get there, right? So there are a few things which you could definitely use to your advantage, and this is one of them. Uh, then I think let's talk about the expectations a little bit, right? So people think they have it easy when they are switching over or trying to switch over to impact. Um, Even going so far as saying that, how hard can it be, right? I'm doing hard work. I'm in consulting. I work a certain number of hours. I work so hard. Um, but believe you me, having aligned with the sector and having seen the hiring in the sector for the last 2 or more than 2 years, there's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of depth that goes in, uh, to putting the events out, to hiring for those roles, to curating the job descriptions, and to making things work. Right? It's a hard day's work, and it's not easier. I would say it is even more difficult, if not at the same level as any consulting organization or any job that you do in a consulting, right? So from the sector, you can expect a lot of humility, a lot of depth that people come with, a lot of expertise, right? And connection and exposure to a lot of thought leadership and a lot of platforms where these conversations actively happen. But when these happen here, these are not just conversations, these are not just events to meet and greet. Uh, these are directed toward actions. Everybody here and everybody coming in here is expected to have that intention, and this is what the sector can really give you. You'll be surprised at the amount of people who choose to leave their high paying jobs from consulting or otherwise, and then want to get aligned with the sector because of what they see and the amount of work that happens and how they feel they can contribute. From the job, again, like, we spoke about the skills, we spoke about some of the expertise, um, but also think about what you need to build if you have a certain role or a certain function in mind that you want to transition with or transition to. um, I think the job will really be an eye opener for you right from the start, where you get exposed and you read about the JD, to how you pitch the role, and how the organizations think about the importance of that role. I think you will be surprised when you get to know the thought process and when you get to know the why behind it. Uh, that is where I think most candidates are also stumped at the expectation, right? Now I think I will bust some more myths and talk about the hiring process. Uh, we've often felt and we've often been given this feedback that I thought the process would not be this difficult and I wasn't expecting this kind of uh, you know questions or assignments in the hiring process. But round ones are usually not that hard. I mean, people think that they can get through and they do. If you have a few years of experience, it will be a basic round, it will be a basic hygiene check. You will be exposed to a few cultural questions, a few alignment on the skill sets. But then I think what you can expect is a hard road in terms of case studies, in terms of on the spot guesstimates, right? Preparing vision documents, strategy documents, or a blueprint of, let's say, the next 1 year, in case you're applying for that kind of a role which requires that kind of a bent, or in fundraising roles, if that's your inclination. I think what that will require you to do is go in depth, research, and without using any other tool like ChatGPT, which we're so kind of pleased with ourselves for doing and getting those answers and results out. But I think originality is key here. Your thought process and what you have thought of and how you've gone about thinking is the prime focus of those assignments that are given to you. Also, these guesstimates and on the spot case studies, sometimes in interviews, really stump people. They are not aware of what to do or how to deal with it or how to come up with the right, let's say, thought process. Sometimes it is not about the right or the wrong answer. It is also about the approach, right? So, how quick are you on your feet? How spontaneous you are in your thinking? What kind of takes you for a, you know, toss when it comes to um, solving problem statements, or if you've come across a problem statement, uh, how do you go about solving it, how you go about dealing with it, what's your approach towards it. Okay, so I think besides that, some organizations also test you on technical and aptitude assignments, where you may feel that you've done it a lot and you play a lot with numbers, you've dealt a lot with analytics, and it might just be easy. But you'll be surprised at the number of candidates who do not make it through because of those aptitude assignments. And it's not that tough, it's basic 10th level math sometimes. But we are also surprised when candidates do not make it through those rounds, right? They don't score enough to be able to clear it. So give attention to the process, give attention to what is asked. I feel candidates take it easy, and sometimes very close to the deadline, they come back to us or go back to the stakeholders and ask those questions which are important at the start of the assignment. So, my advice is whenever something like this comes and it takes you by surprise, please feel free to ask questions, clarify, uh, go through the document and the assignment or the pre-read really carefully what is expected of you. If you feel that's a mammoth task, then you need to alter your approach or change your approach in a way where you think you are more susceptible to attempting the assignment. Okay, so talking a little bit about compensation, let's talk about what happens rather than what does not happen here. Sometimes people may feel, and they may be right, when we say that the compensation might not be as competitive monetarily, right? First thing is the kind of leave policies and the kind of flexibility some organizations offer are really, really at par or better than some of the organizations in corporate or even in consulting. The flexibility of remote work or hybrid work or choosing your days to work or where do you want to work from, also at times location, right? Even if it's remote, even if it's closer to your native place, or you might want to spend some time with your family and that's why you choose to work from a certain location for a few days. They are happy to talk about those arrangements and they're happy to happy to discuss that with you actively to make your life easier and make your work easier. So that that's not running at the back of your mind. So I think when it comes to impact, they are thinking about employee and people centric impact also. It is not just in financials that this component is reflected. Some organizations even go as far as giving advance on salaries, uh, giving sabbaticals for studies, writing recommendations, giving study loans for people who want to pursue further studies if they are, they're wanting to do that. And that is something which is really encouraging about the sector not being limiting at all. So they don't try to hold people back, but every opportunity is given for wherever you think your alignment lies at that point in time. Even though yes, it is a loss for them when you leave them. This compensation is structured is really sometimes helpful in terms of taxes. It's really helpful at times when a contractual model is followed and renewed, as opposed to your employee compensation, where you may not be able to gather all those benefits and use it for your personal benefit, basically, right? I think we spoke about employee centric policies and some of the processes that the organizations have. uh, they offer paternity leaves, not just maternity leaves. A lot of these life changing moments that you experience within your life journey or work journey are accounted for. The nature and the core sense of the sector is not transactional. It is very, very, humble in that sense. Some organizations also prioritize work life balance and even mental health balance when it comes to work life, right? So, uh, not only do they provide for counseling sessions, but also go far ahead to compensate you if you want to take those sessions, compensate you for leaves if you want to take a break from work for some time, if you feel that you're not in the best of spaces at any given point in time. And they go ahead and acknowledge that all of us see those tough times, with work, without work, at home with family. It might be any kind of a crisis which does not go unacknowledged. Right. So, hitting the ceiling, there are times when we are posed this question, and most of us in the TA team would agree to that hitting the ceiling is one of the common problems that candidates, organizations, and we as consultants face alike, in terms of people feeling that, you know, the compensation is not enough, and we feel that they've hit a ceiling in terms of the draw that they are at right now and what they are expecting. But at the same time, I feel that if you give equal importance to what you are getting, not just monetarily, but also very objectively in terms of life goals, in terms of work life balance, in terms of how you want to structure your whole life and work, I feel that ceiling would not be really uh, just giving you a monetary, I would say, benefit, or that stop, but also helping you achieve a more holistic kind of a vision for work life and also for your career journey.
So there's one question from Sai Ram.
Right.
How many years of experience in impact sector is considered ideal slash reasonable to switch to consulting sector?
I would say 3 to 4 years, if you decide early on that now is the time or now is the right time for you to make that transition. I think that's helpful. It will also give you enough time to kind of module your journey ahead, uh, in terms of how you want to plan the rest of your career progress. So I feel that if you decide early on, maybe give it 3 years into what you're doing right now, and then move on to do or transition to impact, you will have a plethora of opportunities to choose from.
The second question is from Arpit. It is how is the pay grade determined considering the skills are diverse per role and more fluid due to the nature of impact consulting.
Okay, so I think the pay grade determination is different for different organizations and impact. Uh, and yes, considering the skill levels are very fluid, they are diverse, but then each organization has their sense of parity, has their sense of comp structure and how they arrive at it. I would say more than a few organizations are very transparent about how they arrive at that particular structure, mm, as per the grade or as per the pay scale. Also, some are very fair. They write the compensation in the JD itself. And some organizations are also forthcoming as to help you understand how they arrived at a particular structure for the roles at your level or for the roles that you're applying to.
Okay, we have another question from Naveen. Do consulting switch also covers KPO, business research, and knowledge management domains as well?
I would say yes, because when it comes to consulting, it doesn't just have to be big force. It could come from wherever those skill sets can be transferable or be considered fluid for that matter, right? So if you're talking about research, if you're talking about knowledge management, that is also manifested in some of the functions which are in impact that focus on the skill sets and the functions that you want to align yourself with rather than focusing on the domain that you're coming from or the background that you're coming from in terms of consulting or corporate. I think there is space for everyone in impact.
The most used skill set for consulting, which will follow all rules of consulting.
All rules, right? So that might be, I could tell you the most used skill set or the skill set which is most common, but all rules might be difficult. So yeah, I think project management is one skill set where we can say the manifestation is very high, the usage is very high, the adaptability and transferability between movement of the sectors is also very high. So when you talk about usage, I could say easily that project management is something which is used very very heavily.
Okay, it
Yeah.
says, is a master's a mandatory requisite in terms of academic qualification to get into consulting in the social sector?
Necessarily, but definitely have a pre-read of the description of the role that you're applying to. But no, it's not a prerequisite that if you're not a master's or don't have a postgraduate, uh, there's not a no entry vote for you. So please rest assured. See, like I told you, there are different facets to impact also. There are NGOs, then you have those typical social sector enterprises which work toward the cause, but not necessarily maybe a non-profit, so to speak. And the third is your impact consulting organizations. Now, there is tangibility across these three when you're moving from any other sector to these. And if you talk about the type of engagement, again, you have those general function roles which come across, right? You have communications, you have finance, uh, you have any other accounting, any other kind of general functions role that you come across in any segment or any industry domain. The second bit is your program roles or policy roles, which are specific to thematic areas, specific to causes that you're working towards, right? And the engagement differs from role to role and from function to function. This is a recurring event. We'll keep doing this series throughout the year. I think next month one of the other TA members would be, choosing another topic and be taking it forward. And yeah, please follow all our social media handles for updates on these sessions. Stay tuned in.